Howdy. Just came back from a trip to Ron, the accordion expert. He called me out of the blue. Called me yesterday at 9:30 at night, and he says, "Sergei, you're not sleeping yet?" I said, "No." Like, what are you doing up? Well, it turns out he works all kinds of hours, you know. He works on the weekend, and he says, you know, when he doesn't do it, he needs the money, but he doesn't do it for the money itself. Actually, he says, "I want it here," and he pointed to his heart, like he loves these instruments, even though he cannot. I said, "Can you play?" And he said, "No, but this guy, he has a perfect, you know, pitch, like he can hear which note is correct, which one is not correct." So anyway, so he calls me yesterday and he says, "Well, if you want, I finished the right side and I just want to show you how it sounds." And so he didn't say that, you know, everything was finished, but I had that idea, so maybe he would do something in the morning today, because we agreed on, so yesterday was Saturday, so we agreed on Sunday today, again at 12 o'clock noon. And so I was hoping that he maybe would do something extra in the morning, so maybe I can take it with me, because I'm leaving tomorrow on a trip, right? And I told him that. I said, I want to practice, and I told him a story how I want to learn how to play at least a few basic songs for my mom, whom I'm going to visit in December, and give her kind of like a present for her 85th birthday, right? So I come in, and the accordion is all put together, but there's no cover. You know, I'll show you. There's no cover where all the valves are on the treble side, because he wanted me to see something. And then he starts pressing notes. He starts pressing the buttons, and I sat down on like there's a little step in there. Again, he says, "Have you been vaccinated?" I said, "Once." And he said, "Oh, sorry." He says, my wife would not allow us to go inside the house. So again, we're like co-conspirators. We're meeting in his garage with that Lexus or whatever. I think it was a Lexus. Yeah, very nice looking car. Like when I pull in near I stop on the road near his driveway. He opens the door of the garage and we go in, and we sit in some kind of buckets. This time he was sitting on this plastic, like a small case, like a suitcase from something, not like the one we used before. And I just sat on the steps, because his garage is like this, lower than the floor of his kitchen, I'm guessing. And so there's a couple of steps in there which are perfect for sitting down. So I'm sitting down, he's holding my accordion. And he says, I tuned, so I said, "Did you tune one side or both sides?" He says, "Well, yeah, I'm pretty much done." He says, I finished, he says, it took like over 2 days, but what he found is that most keys or buttons, they were out of tune. He didn't say how many, but they were like up and down, up and down. And so there was hardly any vibrato or tremolo or musette or razliv in Russian, right? Where the voices are tuned slightly apart. He says they did something they did something. Oh, and he put a sticker here, Sergei. See, he put a little sticker to, I guess, to remember whose accordion is this. And so yeah, this part was open. this spot was open, and that's where, you know, you can see all the levers. But he says, so basically this one, you know, and I keep learning every day. I learn something new about these wonderful, super interesting instruments, because they have so many parts inside. You know, it's not like a I don't know, trombone or something. You know, we have a metal pipe with a couple of buttons, right? So this is a little bit more complicated. Wait a second, so he forgot to tighten the screws, because he told me, he says, like inside when he put it together, like check this out, he left all the screws. And I don't have any tools. And the same in the back. But basically, yeah, we agreed that he would give me the accordion. I gave him the money. He said, so I said, so what do I owe you? So 2.5 days of work. I thought he would say like 2 grand, and I would be, I said, I paid, this was $750 US by itself. And then of course I paid extra for the lessons, for the delivery. But basically, yeah, you see this? These are just, they're not even screws, they're like nails, and that's what you take out. And I guess he forgot to, he says, Sergei, he forgot to tighten them. So he put them in. I guess I just have to hammer them in or something. Man. And we were talking about adding a strap in here so you can lock it when it's in transport. I'm guessing he can do it later. But yeah, what we agreed on is that, because I told him, so I want to practice, right? And he said he still has to do something inside, like he didn't put some washers in place there. He says everything is fine, you can play, but he says when you come back from your trip to the States, he says, you know, just give me a call and I'll open it again. And he says, while you practice, if you can hear something off, like if you don't like, you know, some of the notes, just tell me and I can correct them. So this kind of like more like a test right now, right? But he started playing, well, not playing, but just punching keys, and I almost fell off that stairs I was sitting on, because this thing now sounds, I don't know, it sounds so rich, it sounds like an organ. But basically what he found is that first off, they were out of keys, right? There's 3 voices on the right. So there's a lower voice, which is basically one, there's 3 reed blocks. One produces low sounds, baritone, one is in the middle, which is tenor, and one is the high, which is piccolo. And the way they tune them from the factory is that tenor, the medium frequency sound, tenor and piccolo are tuned exactly by the tuner. Basically no tremolo, no vibrato, you know. So if it's, let's say, note C, it's tuned exactly as C. But the baritone, the lower frequency reed block, is tuned slightly higher. And what he found is that, yeah, he says it was tuned like +10. I think that's what they go by, the you know, the hertz frequency. So it was like +10, or they call it 10 cents. But he says what they didn't do properly is that you cannot just do +10 on each note, because the lower you go, you have to increase that anyway. So it's not like a simple line. It has to be like +10, +11, +12, +15. And so because he never worked with, he was very excited because he never worked with this instrument before. So like something like this, like a Russian 2-row button accordion, like a traditional folk instrument. But he knows the principles, you know. He works with 2-voice accordions, with 3-voice accordions, with expensive, with cheap ones. And for him it was very exciting to work on something like this. And he gave me a demonstration, and I said, man, this sounds amazing. I'm going to show you in a second. And so we started talking about money. He says, how about something like $350, $400. And after I heard how my instrument sounds now, I said, I'll give you 400. And then I'll say, especially since I have to come back for you to finish. Basically, he said, you know, like there's nuts in there, like let's say bolt and nut, and because he just wanted to put it together quickly, he didn't put the washers, and he left kind of like these notes in there in the inside. And of course now we know that he forgot to to tighten the nails, but that's fine. I'll just I think I have a small hammer. Do I have a hammer? Because I need something with a soft, you know, something not metal, but something with a soft. Well, maybe I can use something like this, you know, because I don't want to scratch it, and then use like my knife, like the bottom part of my knife. No, that's not very good. I'll go to my car and I find something that I can use as a hammer, because I don't want it to fall apart. So basically, yeah, he tuned everything. He says pretty much everything was out of tune. And that one thing he did, and then second, what he did, he corrected that musette or tremolo, because he says it was pretty much flat. It was supposed to be, like I said, plus 10, plus 12, plus 14. And I think he found that the lower, they were all like 10. But he says, if you keep it at 10 at the lower part of the spectrum, like there's no musette, whatever. So he corrected the sounds. Now it's all in tune. And he corrected the musette or tremolo or vibrato or razliv in Russian. So now this thing sounds amazing. And when I was giving him the money, he said, "Now I don't want to give it back to you." I said, "Well, if you want to keep it, I'll want like $5,000 because I wanna learn. That's the whole point of this. I need to learn at least a few songs before I see my mom in December." Okay, let me go and grab something I can hammer these nails in with. Well, I sent him an email. So, Drone, you forgot to tighten the nails. But of course, it's too late to. I said I'm not gonna. I hope I'm not gonna damage anything. So I don't have a hammer, but I went to my car and I found this, and so this is like perfect, you know. So I use this and I put this piece of thick paper over these, and I just, because yeah, these are just, you know, they're not screws, they're not I was afraid to put them too tight, but you know, as long as they don't stick out. But yeah, I saw many other videos where the people use something like a two-prong screwdriver to take it out. But anyway, I just wanted to show you how it sounds now. Just gonna do like a scale. So that's what it should sound like from the factory. And so yeah, he asked for 350 Canadian. Because I was so impressed, I gave him 400 Canadian, which is about 310, 320 US. Especially when we were playing in the garage, in his garage, you know, a tight space, and of course he. he was very impressed with, he says, the bass. He says, man, because that's 4 voices. So 3 here, 4 voices there. That's what it should have been sounded like. Oh man, I'm doing a second lesson, and so far it's still treble keys only. So this is a super famous Russian blockbuster called "Vasaduli v Ogorode." And this time, as before, I was, you know, like the scale was like this. Just 2 fingers, right? So now he says, the teacher says, use 3 fingers. Well, now we're getting into some kind of like sky acrobatics, because the teacher says now it's time to look at the left side, bass side, and he starts with this outside row. And so I know that there's a note, and then it has the accord is right above that note. So this one, and basically you just move your fingers by 2. So notes are spaced like 2 apart, and between them are chords for that note. So I know he said it's fa. What is fa? Fa, so B, C, C, D, E, F. F, I think, right? And this is a do or C. So basically one button is the note, the other button above it is the chord. And this is how, like this, now I'm telling you, the bass sounds so much nicer, so much stronger after Ron, the accordion master, did his job. We're not gonna blame him too hard for the nails he forgot to put it. So that's what I know in Russian, because my instruction is in Russian. So fa, do, sol. Those are the Russian names of the notes. Man, this is hard. I'm doing my own version, because it was like this. Thanks for watching.